Ever feel like you're surrounded by people who are just like built different? Like what's their secret? Well, today we're cracking the code of one of the Zodiac's most driven signs, Capricorn.
Oh, they're fascinating, aren't they?
We're diving deep into Mari Silva's book,
Mm-hmm.
Capricorn, the ultimate guide to an amazing Zodiac sign in astrology. Gotta love that title.
Right.
So we're going to figure out what makes these Capricorns tick.
You know, one of the things I appreciate about Silva's book is that it's part of this whole series.
Yeah.
And she really focuses on giving you practical advice.
Okay.
So it's not just about like, oh, here are the Capricorn traits. It's about here's how you can actually use these insights. Whether you are a Capricorn or, maybe you're just trying to figure out that Capricorn in your life.
Right, exactly.
She gives you tools.
I like it. Okay, so let's get into it.
Let's do it.
When you think Capricorn, and I'm curious to hear your take on this as well.
Yeah.
What are those like classic Capricorn traits that come to mind?
Okay, well, for sure, ambition.
Okay.
Okay, that's like classic Capricorn, right?
Right.
Discipline.
Oh, yeah.
That very grounded, practical energy.
Yes.
But Silva, she takes it a step further.
Okay.
She says Capricorns have this unique relationship with time itself.
Oh, interesting. What does that even mean? Like a unique relationship with time?
Well, so think about it. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, right?
All right.
And Saturn is all about structure, long-term planning, playing the long game.
Okay.
It's not about instant gratification. It's about that like slow, steady progress towards a larger goal.
So it's less about like living in the moment and more about having that vision for the future and knowing how to like actually get there step by step.
Exactly. And in fact, Silva, she uses this great metaphor in the book.
Okay.
She compares a Capricorn's approach to work to building a cathedral.
Wow.
Like one carefully placed stone at a time, knowing that it might take decades to see that final masterpiece.
Right.
But never losing sight of the vision.
Wow, that's a really powerful image.
Right.
And I can see how that kind of dedication, that long-term vision could lead to like some serious success.
Absolutely.
Are there any like downsides to this whole Saturnian influence though?
That's a good question. I mean, it's all about balance, isn't it?
Right, right.
And Silva does point out that Capricorns might struggle with setting boundaries, knowing when to kind of step back and rest,
Yeah, yeah.
That whole always-on mentality can lead to burnout if they're not careful.
Yeah, that totally tracks it. It's like they're so focused on the climb that they forget to like stop and enjoy the view sometimes,
Exactly, exactly.
But I'm curious how this whole like grounded, practical energy translates into how Capricorns approach relationships.
Ah, yes. Capricorn love. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Yeah, it's definitely not like your stereotypical love-struck, kind of energy,
Right.
but it's deep, though it's
Yeah.
not always the most obvious love language.
Right.
But like, hear me out, okay?
Okay.
Instead of grand gestures, you have someone who shows their love by quietly taking care of the things that matter to you
Okay.
year after year, consistently. That's a Capricorn partner,
Oh.
building a love that only gets stronger with time.
So less about fireworks and more about a slow burn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Silva emphasizes that Capricorns are all about loyalty, security, building that unshakable foundation together.
Okay.
But they might not be the most like outwardly emotional,
Right.
which can lead to misunderstanding.
Especially with partners who like thrive on constant affirmation.
Yes.
Or like those big romantic gestures, right?
Right,
A
exactly.
clash of styles.
Imagine a Capricorn paired with, say, a fiery Leo who craves the spotlight. That could be,
Ooh, recipe for disaster.
yeah, if they don't understand each other's, like, love languages.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so communication is key, clearly.
Yeah.
But when those needs are understood, it sounds like a Capricorn partnership could be incredibly rewarding.
Oh, absolutely.
That whole, like, building a love that lasts thing.
Yes.
Very appealing.
It is. It is. And that same dedication to building a solid foundation, that isn't limited to, like, their personal life, their relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Silva suggests it plays a huge role in how Capricorns approach their careers, too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
They do have that reputation for being total bosses.
They do. They do.
Like CEOs, leaders.
Mhm.
What is it about the Capricorn personality that makes them such natural leaders?
Well, I mean, think about those Saturnian qualities again, right?
Okay.
Structure, responsibility, long-term vision. These are all qualities of a great leader, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. They're not afraid of hard work. They're incredibly disciplined, and they have this like knack for creating systems
Right.
that last.
It's not just about climbing the ladder for them, though, is it?
No, absolutely not.
It's about building something meaningful.
Yes.
Something that stands the test of time.
Yes, exactly.
Which, again, very Saturnian.
Very Saturnian, very Capricorn.
Yeah.
And you see this reflected in the kinds of careers that often draw Capricorns in.
Oh, interesting.
Silva talks about them excelling in fields like management, finance,
Okay.
even entrepreneurship.
Makes sense.
Anything where they can put those leadership skills to work and build something with like lasting impact.
It's interesting because for a sign that's so focused on the material world, on achievement and success, right? There's also this whole other layer to Capricorn that often gets overlooked, I feel like.
You're talking about their spiritual side?
Yeah. It seems like there's more to them than meets the eye.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot more there.
Yeah, it's like we see that drive, the ambition, right? But what's the deeper, like, why behind it all?
Yeah.
What's pushing them?
Well, I think that's the beauty of Capricorn, right?
Okay.
They're kind of like an iceberg.
That sounds
There's
good.
so much more beneath the surface.
I like that.
And Silva actually talks about this journey of transformation that many Capricorns go through, where
Okay.
it becomes less about those external achievements
Okay.
and more about the inner lessons. Those moments where they confront their limitations and emerge even stronger, you know?
So if a Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of time,
Yeah.
are you saying that they're almost destined to have these, like, late in life breakthroughs, like they're on a timeline all their own?
That's an interesting way to put it. I think it's less about a specific age
Okay.
and more about how they integrate those life lessons over time.
Right.
Right. But Silva does emphasize some key spiritual themes for Capricorn,
Okay, yeah. What are those?
like finding balance,
Okay.
embracing patience,
Okay.
learning forgiveness, those kinds of things.
Okay, unpack that a little for me.
Sure.
What does forgiveness have to do with ambition and success? Because those feel like two completely different worlds.
Right. Well, think about it. Capricorns are known for being really hard on themselves.
Right.
Right. Like holding on to mistakes,
Yeah.
always striving for perfection.
Mm-hmm. Classic overachievers.
Right. But true growth,
Okay.
that spiritual evolution, often comes from releasing that self-judgment
Right.
and embracing self-acceptance.
Totally.
It's a process, right? It's not like overnight, suddenly you're like, oh, I forgive myself for everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something we can all relate to, right?
Yeah.
That journey of learning to forgive ourselves, to let go of those past versions of ourselves and like who we used to be.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
It's so interesting, though, because it does feel very counter to like that classic Capricorn, like push forward energy, right?
Right.
So I love that we're kind of uncovering these different layers.
Yes.
Because it just shows that like within each sign,
Right.
there's so much nuance.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot of ground here today. The ambition, the love language, the career drive, and this whole hidden spiritual side of Capricorn.
Yeah, it's quite a sign.
It really is. What's the biggest takeaway? What do you hope listeners walk away with?
I think for me, it's that Capricorns, with their incredible capacity for growth and transformation, really teach us that true fulfillment isn't like a destination.
Okay.
It's about that journey.
I love that.
Right. Of
Yeah.
becoming the best version of ourselves,
The lifelong process, right?
Exactly. One carefully placed stone at a time.
I like that. I like that a lot. And maybe, like a fine wine, some things just get better with age.
There you go.
Right. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Capricorn. Until next time, keep exploring.